Oh boy, it's Friday night. You know what that means. The Skeptical Help Bar is open again. Woohoo! Yes. It's Friday. The bar is open. I have rum. Kenny is happy.
And I have vodka.
Donna is happy.
Yes.
Everyone is happy. Woo! How's everyone doing? Look at this. We got Tiffany, JD, John, Bob, Diane, Donna. Donna's in the house. Twice. What's up, everybody? Oh, my goodness. Everybody. I love it. I love seeing everybody join in. So tonight I'm excited. I'm going to get to the rules in a minute, but I'm excited because we have a returning guest. One of the very few that are returning because nobody wants to come back. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's all good. But we're going to talk about a psychic sting tonight. I can't wait. I love this kind of shit. All right. So let me bring up the rules because the bar needs some rules because there's some creepy people out there. Anyway, rule number one is you are welcome to ask any kind of paranormal related question and I will give you my skeptical opinion and so will the guest. And you can ask skeptical questions too if you want. You can ask pretty much any questions you want. I mean, it's open. We drink. We don't care. So ask whatever you want. Rule number two is I don't know everything. And sometimes my guest doesn't know everything. But that's okay because we can look stuff up. We can write down notes and look it up later and then get back to you. So it's okay to say, I don't know. Rule number three, the golden rule. Listen to Patrick Swayze. Be nice. Okay, this is a good conversation kind of podcast. It's open for everyone. Uh-oh, we lost our guest.
Oh, no.
I just saw her click out. Oh, she hit the wrong button. There she is. She's back. I'm going to add her in a second. All right, so, but yeah, be nice. Be nice. That's all I ask. Have a conversation. You guys can debate in the chat room all you want, but if it devolves into like name calling, Producer Donna, who is by my side, has permission and full authority to boot your ass out of here.
It's called click.
Rule number 4 is if you have a question for me or my guest, please do me a favor and put a Q in front of your comment. That way we know where it is. We can pick it out easy and get right to it. I do have a couple questions for my guest tonight, so you might have to get in line. And rule number 5, of course, is drink up. So
drinking.
Let me know what you're drinking, where you're from. And with that said, I'm going to bring on our guest because she's waiting patiently in the back, especially because she kind of dumped out on us. Just came back. So I'm going to put my special guest banner up.
You like here, that? Robert.
Let's see. Barry. There she is. She's back.
Hi, everybody.
What happened?
I wanted to write a comment, and it said you got to log in first, and so I hit the login button, and I went boom. I disappeared like okay. And so I can't comment, you guys. Sorry. I wanted to say hi to everybody, and make rude comments.
You're saying hi right now.
Yeah, you're saying hi.
It just won't let me. I can read your comments. Oh, Brian Dunning. What a
Brian Dunning. Who put his ass?
Dunning? He didn't do anything yet.
I love you, Brian. Love Brian.
Who is she?
I'm out of here.
Oh, there's so many people. Everyone's excited to see you. So,
Jade Kitten.
For those people that don't know or might not know who you are,
explain to Dunning who I am.
Yeah. Explain to him and use small words because he's probably pretty drunk right now. So you have to talk slow too. But for everyone that doesn't know who you are, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm just like everybody else. I'm a very curious person, but I do have evidence for claims. I'm dying to meet my first psychic that can really communicate with the dead. I'm looking for a very long time. Please. I do hours and hours and hours of genealogy, documents and documents and documents. I would love to be able to just say, hey, great uncle so-and-so, can you show me when you immigrated over here so I could stop looking through all these papers and going blind? But no, I can't get in contact with him because I have not found a real psychic, but I am very curious. So I am a fellow of the Skeptical Inquirer, Committee for Skeptical Inquirer. I'm also a fellow for the GSoW, which is a group in the skeptic group in Germany. I am a writer of things for Skeptical Inquirer.
Things.
Wikipedia editing group, and I see several of my editors here tonight. Thank you. 2 of them joined after the last time that we had a talk about Wikipedia here.
Yes.
From this very skeptical help bar, so I really appreciate that.
Yes.
But tonight we're going to be talking about grief vampires. Ooh. Well, one particular grief vampire, one particular sting.
Okay. So on that note, that just goes right into the next question. So who are we talking about tonight?
This is Thomas John.
Okay.
Thomas John has been known as many different things. He was the Manhattan medium. He was a seatbelt psychic. He had a TV show called Seatbelt Psychic. He also had a TV show called The Thomas John Experience. He had a show in Vegas at Caesars.
Show.
Well, he didn't see the pandemic coming. He
Right.
really didn't. He was saying to people, "Oh yeah, I'll be here for years," and he isn't coming back after the pandemic. I believe they're putting something else there. He is he's a drag queen, which I think he should go back to because he seems to have a lot of skill in that world. He looks great as a drag queen, and Lady Vera Gray.
Oh.
And so I think that would be a better endeavor for him than hot reading through people.
Right.
Taking advantage of these people.
Exactly. Yeah. Because he's some people would say he's good at it. Other people like me say he's horrible at it.
He's horrible.
He's horrible, and it's we're gonna explore some of that tonight because it's nice. Like I've read about your stings before. I've actually participated. Both producer Donna and I have participated in your
New York
stings.
Times.
And
New York Times, maybe. Yeah.
It's interesting when you get that kind of inside information and you can put all the pieces together. And in this case, I had the opportunity afterwards to see both sides and put it together. And we're going to talk about that tonight. So this thing, I'm just going to give you the floor. It's all you. The first question I do have is that as I read your article about it, and as I understand it, this was not something that you guys actually planned on doing. This was kind of like the last ditch effort kind of thing or something. Explain that, please.
All right. So you're going to have to guide me through this. I really haven't been speaking much about this. The article's written. People can look it up. It's called Operation Onion Ring. It's on Skeptical Inquirer. But if you type in Operation Onion Ring with quotes on it, you're going to get the article. It's quite long, but that's intentional. I apologize, but that I had to tell the whole story in a lengthy way. Thomas John is a medium who says he can speak to the dead. And I have been focused on him and others for a very long time. And he's so easy to catch that it's like he just throws it in my path and says, come and investigate this.
Right.
I can't. There's probably 10 other articles I could have written on him that I just don't have time to. I mean, how many times can you bust somebody?
Right.
So, So anyway, he put out, I have this team, it's called the Guerrilla Skeptics, and a few people of them are here. It's a secret Facebook group where we kind of talk about just this kind of thing, working on grief vampires. That's a term that Mark Edward came up with, by the way. And we're trying to get it more out there, so I use it a lot.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate that. I want to get a Wikipedia page written for it, but it's a long time before I can do that. But the point is that Thomas John, I've caught him hot reading so many times. That means he's reading people's personal information on Facebook or wherever. Okay. And throughout the pandemic, he was doing a lot of Zoom readings where there'd be maybe 200 or 300 people on the call on the Zoom screen, and he would read them. And we caught him doing lots of things like peeking down at the corner of the screen as he's like seconds before he gets an instant, hey, who's Bob? He would look down, which is a clue to me that he's looking at a Facebook Messenger post that's coming up on his screen. His accomplice is looking the information up. He also did a lot of other readings with other psychics. Some of them are healers. Some are other kinds of psychics. And we did a lot of investigation and writing up on those. We called it Operation Lemon Meringue. That was our during the pandemic. We were doing that. So
all of your operations, and I know you get this a lot. They make me hungry. Like I see an article from you, and I'm like, damn it, there's 5 pounds. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna pick up the phone. I'll be like, yeah, I need an order of onion rings.
Yeah. So So what happened is Thomas John has been aware of me for a very long time. I've been a thorn in his side, and my team has been a thorn in the side. But he said that he did this because he was asked by a lot of his fans or whatever,
okay, to
do a spirit circle, which is a Zoom. In this case, it'd be a Zoom thing for children from ages 5 to 12. Right. And the rules were they had to be accompanied by a parent or a guardian the whole time. And it was $400.
Whoa.
Per child. And you can only have one child. So as a parent and child, it's the first time he says he's ever done this. And I think so. So this came out, I think, in like September, October, November of 2020. And I was like, oh man, that is really low. You're having to read for kids. That's pretty damn bad, Yeah. So we followed it for a very long time. And we were trying to figure out how to cancel it. Because, if a psychic's coming to a venue near you, you can reach out to the venue and you can say, this guy's, he's doing this. This is really dangerous. Don't do it. And try to get him canceled. Or you can go to the local media and you can say, whatever town he's appearing in and say, please don't, please cover this guy or do something. Well, he's on Zoom. So there was nothing really we could do about it because we tried approaching the hosting service that used the money. Spotify, not Spotify. I can't think what it's called, where that takes the money.
Oh, the ticket price. The ticket.
It wasn't Ticketmaster, something else. But we tried that. We tried.
Everbright?
No.
No. Okay.
That's an S. Anyway, so we tried approaching them. One of the guys one of these will tell us in a minute. And because JD was really one trying to get that, but they weren't listening. We wrote to them and it was like whatever. And you can't cancel them from Zoom. So, so we watched and we waited and we watched and we waited. And Thomas John was saying, I don't know, up until maybe like February that he was sold out or almost sold out. And so then I approached a bunch of people I know who are in the skeptical world. What?
That's not saying much because it's only 8 spots.
So it is 8 spots. Yes.
It's just funny when you're like, we're almost sold out.
It's really funny whenever you think about it. But so it's 8 spots. What is that? $3,200.
Yeah.
And it was Stephen Novella from Yale, neurologist from Yale, a member of the skeptic community. He wrote an article and he was basically saying that this is probably not a good idea to have young children speaking to the dead or, encouraging them this way.
Right.
And he wrote this very well written. He's a very academic, scholarly kind of guy. So he wrote it from that point of view. And we made sure that Thomas John saw that article. Basically people put it up on Thomas John's social media and Thomas John blocks the person. So obviously they saw the post. Takes the post down, blocks the person. So he saw the post. We did that. I thought we'd make sure he sees it. Plus I'm pretty sure I'm almost positive he has a Google alert for his name. So if you go to Wikipedia, you can find for Thomas John Flanagan, which is his full name. You can follow the comment, go down to the citations, and everything that I'm talking about is there. That's a nice one-stop shop to find all this information, as Rob Palmer is just mentioning. So we tried to get it stopped, and it didn't work. Thomas John did a live Facebook. And he was talking about Novella, not mentioning by name and saying just some crazy guy, they're trying to get me to stop. But they're saying it's wrong to give readings to children, but children are spiritual people too. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then I wrote it. I tried to get media interested. I went to NBC and they were so excited about doing it. And then when it got time to do it, she ghosted me. Oh. They wanted to go. They wanted to attend.
Right.
And I said, we don't want to attend. We want it to be canceled. This is harmful. This is dangerous. We don't want to have this happen. This is bad.
Right.
And so she said, well, if you could get a way of going and I could see, I'm like, well, there's only 8 spots. So how am I going to do that? I can't say, hey, and here's a reporter.
Yeah.
Don't mind the reporter in the room who doesn't have a child in this thing. So, what are you going to do? So I wrote an article for Skeptical Inquirer. It's there probably on the Wikipedia page, basically saying, somebody please help.
Right.
We got to do something. This needs to be canceled. And nothing happened. People were all very sympathetic and saying, oh, this is really awful. This is disgusting. 5-year-olds? I mean, come on.
Right.
But nobody had the power to cancel it. There's nothing that they could do or say. So I finally, at almost the very last minute, said, all right, we got to go. And so I have a nonprofit funded mainly by James Randi. And the James Randi Educational Foundation almost entirely gave me most of the money for these kinds of things. And so I decided to go. Now, I don't know where you want to go with the story from there.
So
decided like 3 days before the event.
Let's do a couple questions because I see a couple questions. We'll
real quick,
and then we'll come back to this. So, all right, hit me up.
Here we go.
Jade Kitten, what's up? Why do accomplices work for psychics, faith healers? I know money, but why make someone else look special?
You mean like the people who are doing the research behind the scenes for like a hot reader where the guy's on camera and there's somebody on the other side doing the Googling, feeding him the information? Those accomplices. Also, Thomas John has people who work for him. Well, what is going on? Not only is it a lot of money and a lot of it's cash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these people believe that the ends justify the means and that he is really actually a spiritual person who is in contact with the dead. Even though sometimes he has to cheat a little bit, he's most of the time he's actually in. He only has to cheat a little bit whenever, he's feeling low or whatever, and he has to perform. So he'll do a little bit of this or that. I think that's part of it. I know that one of the people who is his main person who handles his emails and things like that, she has a child who had died and who firmly believes or seems to believe that he's giving readings to her from her son. So she's
on the hook.
Oh
really.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
so I mean, why would you
you're getting free readings, you're getting, you don't have to pay to get that continuing communication.
Yeah, I mean, your son. Why would you lose the connection with your child? And
that's sad. It's really
very sad. And she won't say anything. She's spoken out a few times about Susan Gerbic and those people, and she says she's an atheist, so you don't have to listen to her. That's there you go. So there you go.
Ad hominem.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
Most of the time, I think that it is because they've bought into it. They believe he's doing good work. They remember all these people saying, "Oh, he's amazing. He's changing my life," and they cry and all this. It's also a powerful thing to be working for somebody who is in this kind of line of work. Imagine a faith healer that supposedly heals people. You would want to be around somebody like that. I assume he's charismatic. I don't know. I don't know personally that well.
Not my type.
I don't know. Not my type either. But
not my type at all.
He travels all over the world. He seems to have oodles amount of money and vacations all over. So I think that this is my personal belief. I don't know this to be true, but I think that the people who are working for him are very close to him. His sister and some other people have done some work with him, and I think he's taking care of them financially. So I think that is what's going on.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that, and I think the lure of that travel, the glamorous life. Let's travel all over the country, different places. Let's meet a whole bunch of people. Let's get free stuff from people that want us to come out. And the money's good. It's got to be good for a 2.5 hour session. You got $3,200. That's a lot of money.
My daddy reports it.
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I mean that's a lot of money, and I can see the draw, and I can also see how some people would be caught up in it if they have that firm belief in it. If they really think if he has them convinced that he's the real deal, I can understand that. I still don't like it. I don't approve of it. I think it's bullshit still, but I can understand where they're coming from.
Right.
However, on the other side of that, though, are the people that are doing the cheating for him that know full well.
They know full well.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're hot reading for someone, and I think that it's a very narrow amount of people who are hot reading for him. I don't think it's his sister. I don't think it's his assistant Tracy. I think it's like somebody very, very close. And if they break up or have a fight or anything, I think we may find out a lot. I doubt anybody signed an NDA or anything of that sort. But I believe that there's just so much money in it, and they're just in the background having a good laugh at us, having a good laugh at the sitters, those dead and desperate people. I'm sure they're just like, ha ha, check it out, look what we did. Oh my God, I got her to cry. They probably have a timer on how long it takes to get somebody to cry. I would not be shocked.
Jumping ahead, I'm not going to jump ahead, but watching, I guess when I watch the videos and stuff, and we'll get into that later, but watching it, it's probably the same surprise, like aha moment when I connect the dots. Like, oh, I read this in information you provided, and then he repeated it on the reading, and I'm like, oh, he literally read that off the email. Like, wow. And I'm sure that on the other side, they're doing the same thing where they know they cheated. They know they researched it. They gave him the information. And when he says it and they see the faces of the people on the other end, like all excited, or when the tears start going because they hit a nerve, that is disgusting to me, because that's not.
Here's Mark Edwards' trick. Would you like a Kleenex? And then tears right there. As soon as they pull out the Kleenex box, there comes the tears. And this is Hamilton, by the way.
Hi, Hamilton. It's basically it's getting a great payoff to make someone feel like shit, to make them feel.
We also think that they're helping. Some people think they're helping.
All right.
We have a question.
Yep. Hey, Bob. Does he have a fine print warning saying it's only for entertainment?
Nope.
I didn't see it.
Even if it did say it, there's nothing illegally we can do, to be honest with you, unless somebody came forward. And lots of people come forward to me, and they come and they say, if I've got $400 into this, or $75 in it, or whatever. No matter what, it's a lot of money to some people. Some people, $75 is the difference between making your power bill that month or not.
Right.
So, I get really upset about these shows that want to do, when it hits $100,000 and the person's homeless, then we'll do a story on it. It's like, to some people, this is more than money. It's a lot of trust that's being taken away from them. It's very cruel what happens to them.
Couldn't you talk to state attorney generals?
We tried applying him to everybody in which state. He's on Zoom. So when he was doing live things, like if you went to Vegas or wherever, we've tried, but nobody. We can't get anything punished right now at all in the last years. And so
that would be a stretch too, because he does have that disclaimer to have the parent with him. And I did notice in the beginning of the call, he made it clear, like every child has to have their parent on screen at all times. So that's how you get around it, because it's like, your child can attend, but only with a parent.
They also have a lot of religion too. They'll say that there's they'll do a prayer and or anything of that sort. Sylvia Brown had her own church, which means everything was tax deductible. But that is another way around it. As soon as religion is mentioned, like the Scientology, we're a church. Everybody's like, we can't touch them. It's like, oh yeah, you can, but you have to have the will. Right.
I have the Church of Biddle, so I just haven't made it official yet.
Donate, yeah.
Donate to me. JD, what's up, buddy? Do you think TJ is the kind of person who legitimately believes his own ability?
No.
He's taught reading.
No.
He knows damn well. There are psychics out there, and I have one that's going to be giving me a live reading on Facebook in a few weeks. You guys got to watch for that. I don't know what yet. Some guy who's just like, I believe. He says, you and I are on the same page with 99% of everything you do. The anti-vaxxers, all that I hate all that stuff. But I'm an evidential medium, and I want to give you a free reading. And he was so nervous to talk to me. And I said, of course, you can give me a reading, but I wanted to be on Facebook Live, and I'll probably interview you. And he's like, would you really? And I'm like, okay. So in a few weeks, watch for that. So I believe some people think they are doing psychic readings.
I agree.
And it's just cold reading or chance or I don't know what. We'll find out what's going on with this guy.
I had a nice woman come on a couple of weeks ago who believed that she was psychic. And we had a nice conversation. She took my questions. She didn't shy away from them. After our conversation, I still wasn't convinced. I think that most of the stuff that she was doing was cold reading, but unintentional cold reading. I think there's that belief that comes from constant reinforcement from family and friends. Where you make guesses.
You're so blessed. God must have
Yes.
given you this gift, and absolutely, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you quickly just explain the difference between hot and cold readings?
So cold reading is making general statements that apply to a lot of people. Sometimes cold reading can just be looking at somebody and looking at what they're wearing, their voice, their accent, their age, and making general statements about, a name like John, Joe, Andrew would be something maybe that would be in Kenny's family, but I wouldn't look at Kenny and say that maybe like Jose and Mohammed necessarily would be probably his father's name or anything like that. Those are general statements that are cold that you can do, and then cold reading it's a real skill. It's when it's done well, it's very exciting to watch. But hot reading is whenever they have information on you beforehand, and that could be social media. It could be somebody says, "You got to see my psychic. He's really great." And then they tell the psychic, "My sister-in-law is going to come and see you. She's been having so much trouble with her husband. I think he's cheating on her and her little brother." And that's hot reading too, because the psychic has information about you pretty much before the reading. So hot reading and cold reading is usually. Some psychics float in between the two. I think most psychics are cold readers. Very few are hot readers. But Thomas John is definitely a hot reader.
Like if I I did a presentation with Rob Palmer, who's in the chat room. We did a presentation on psychics, and
great.
We were talking about cold reading and hot reading. And cold reading, basically, what she says, like if you go into a crowd and start saying, like I'm looking at you and I'm seeing like this. A male figure, a male father-like figure that's in your that has passed, and passed for something in the chest area. That's cold reading, and you're expecting them to fill in the blanks. They're going to make the connection. Whereas hot reading, and this was something I did during the presentation, is that I had profiles that I had printed out on the people that ran the skeptic group or the humanist group that we were talking to. So I literally had and this is something I learned from Mark Edward. I had their bios in front of me, and I was just reading the highlighted sections behind a podium that they couldn't see. Mm-hmm. And I was reading it off like, oh, I see somebody was somebody like in the Navy, and something about a big pot, like a cook or something. Like, and the guy's like, that's me. How the hell did you know that? Mm-hmm. But that's because I had the information beforehand. So when you can hot read and you can act it out, you can make it very convincing.
Very convincing. And it's a skill. Again, it's not so much having the information, because you can get all that information, somebody who's in the Navy or whatever. It's a skill to be able to get up in front of people and not be so specific that it's obvious it's taken over your Facebook page, but to be, just, I'm seeing a lot of water has been around you a lot, and you're, the way they build it up, it takes like a skill to be able to present it. I'm not necessarily that person, because I'm not an entertainer. I couldn't. I suppose I could go up there and fake it, but not.
I've done it a few times.
Talent.
Yeah, I mean, it does take practice, and I've practiced just on different crowds. Like I haven't practiced on like just people alone. Like, hey, we're gonna practice here. I've just jumped in and tried it out, and mostly because I've learned stuff. Like I took years ago, I took the lecture from Mark Edward and Ray Hyman. Mm-hmm. They did a class at SciCon where I attended the workshop and learned, and they gave out that book, the printout that I read over and over and over again because I loved it, and just being able to do research. And I'm pretty good at researching people.
Oh yeah, you're very good at research.
I can find people and information. So having that beforehand is it's gold. And if I can sit here, and I think we talked about this last time you were on, if I can sit here and do a reading talking to like you, I have two other screens, one on each side of you, where I can either be clicking away, or Donna's over there. She can type messages to me, and I can just read. I can be like, oh wait, let me think.
Absolutely.
And then I can read it off another screen.
Well, also, I'm looking down at the comments as they're coming in. Some of them, if they're coming in fast, it's hard for me to read them, but I'm glancing down. Thomas John does the same thing. right in that same little corner of the window.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting a Bob. It's just so obvious. But people that are buying into this are desperate people who want to believe, need to believe,
right.
And they're vulnerable. And it has nothing to do with an intelligence. It has everything to do with just people being in a situation where they think they're critical. They think that they're, they say, oh, I don't have a social media account, so I don't see how he could possibly find my information. And, they're trying to be a little more skeptical, but there's no way he could have known that, my favorite phrase. But the thing is that these people are in a vulnerable time. And if you have a belief in religion, a life after death, if you believe that you are going to see your family on the other side someday, then what is it? It's just like a half a baby step towards a belief in communication in the dead. And why wouldn't there be some human being who would be able to do that?
Right.
I mean, religion is the gateway right into this. Even though I have known a few atheists who believe in psychics, which is surreal. But yeah, I have.
Tell them about the whiteboard.
Want to do one? What?
We're going to get a whiteboard.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
can look at the camera.
All right, so let's jump back into this thing. So you decided to go. You decided to attend. You
had to go. I felt like I had to go because I had to know what was going to happen. I just had to. I didn't know if there was tickets available.
Okay.
Because there's only 8. And he'd been saying since like January. This was coming out in April. So up until January, last I'd heard, it was sold out or almost sold out.
Almost sold out.
Almost sold out.
Okay. So let's skip a little bit to the readings. So it's a 2 hours.
Okay. Come back.
We'll come back to a certain part.
But
so we can condense a little bit, but talk about some of them. So the reading's taken off. It's 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And he's giving readings. How is this set up? Is it like just going around a circle, or how much time does each person have?
Okay, so it's on Zoom.
Okay.
And I'm there. He doesn't know I'm there. Well, he kind of knows I'm there. So I can reveal this because it's not in the article.
Okay.
But what happened is that, so I play I'm on Zoom a lot, and we play trivia a lot. Thursday nights, you guys are all invited. Follow my Facebook page. But what happens is sometimes people have audio problems. And so they have 2 Zoom links, right?
Okay.
So they'll appear like their video appears on the Zoom and their audio appears in another link, right?
Okay.
You guys all know what I'm talking about, I hope, right?
I have no idea, because I don't usually do Zoom unless once in a while I do it, and I just click on a link and go in.
Okay, so sometimes nobody told us we were going to have a pandemic, so we weren't quite prepared for having the best upgrades in all our video cards and audio and stuff.
Okay.
So we didn't have a lot of notice, you guys got to get your ass together. You're going to be living on Zoom, so get your audio and your computers and all that together. No, we didn't have any notice. No psychic told us. So especially towards the end. So a lot of people are getting on using their phones, and they don't really know what buttons to push and things like that. So sometimes their video isn't working.
Okay.
So they use the video on their phone, and then the audio comes out of their camera or something else. So sometimes they need 2 devices to get onto Zoom, and you'll see it will say Kenny iPhone, Kenny computer, or something like that. It'll be 2. You have to log in for each account, your tablet. So when we're playing trivia, some people have trouble using chat because they don't have multiple screens on their computer. They're using a Chromebook or a tablet. And so they have to use, to be able to use the chat feature, they have to sign in with a second device. Okay. I can't follow what's going on in the chat. So if you guys have questions with that, deal with it. So the thing is, sometimes you need to have 2 devices to get in there. That's a common thing that happens, especially with people who aren't necessarily techie people, which are usually the kind of people who are buying a reading. So I thought, I've got to get into this thing. Now, I purchased the tickets under fake emails, 2 fake emails I used a gift credit card I bought at CVS for Visa because I know he will look it up. I know he will. And so when he responded to me, or Tracy and him both responded to my emails buying the ticket, they gave me the Zoom link, right? So I have the Zoom link. There's nothing keeping me from copying that Zoom link and sending out to 50 people if I wanted to. I mean, I could do that. That's what we would have done during Operation Lemon Ring. Buy one ticket, get all your friends in. But there's only 8 people on this thing plus Thomas John. So there's 9 people. So if a 10th account appears in the screen, they're going to know something's up.
Right.
So what I did is when we went in, when my person went in,
okay,
then Susan Gerbic followed immediately after using the same Zoom link, but my name said on my Zoom account, it said like iPhone of the name of one of the persons who's.
Oh, okay.
So
I get it.
And my video was turned off. I can hear and see everything on my end.
Wow. Okay.
But on Thomas John and all the other people on the Zoom participants, all they see is a little duck floating, and it said somebody's iPhone. And we had it all rehearsed so that the person whose account she was going to say, if he said anything or said, who's that, or anything like that, she would have said, I don't know. It's all, that's how I have to go into Zoom. I know if I go on Zoom, I have to use both of these accounts. Otherwise I can't hear you or whatever. And she was just going to play really stupid and dumb and just play it off. Okay. And at one point, Thomas John in the reading says, there's 9 of us, there's 10 of us here. There's only actually 9 of us here. So just to kind of like ignore that other account. It was me. I'm looking at him and he doesn't know it. And damn it, if he doesn't realize that it's Susan Gerbic, his biggest nemesis. Not only that, but the money I used to get in that account came from James Randi. Now, how do you not know this?
Right.
How does this psychic not Susan
pick
Gerbic,
up on this? Money
from the JREF and James Randi. She's looking at you. I am looking at your face, Thomas John. And he's like, I see there's an extra account in here. You guys just ignore that. That's, don't worry about it. So what I did is I took, here's my screen with everybody on Zoom. I took my phone, put it on a tripod, and then turned it on, filmed it, and then live fed it. I did a live Facebook feed to my Facebook group, where everybody in the Facebook group could watch the video live and comment. So as he's talking to these parents, my team is Googling the parents and going, oh, well, she's actually a medium. And here's her kids' names. And here's this. And oh, that one, I just found the obituary he's talking about for her brother. Wow. So my team is Googling at the same time as Thomas John and his friend, whoever it is Googling. And we're finding the same information as quickly as they can. And Bob, you're so funny. So we're seeing the information, and I did this because I wanted this person from NBC to be able to watch. We also had a reporter who's supposed to do this from New Zealand, who's been, New Zealand, Radio New Zealand's been very helpful. It's like NPR of New Zealand. They've been really helpful for us in the past with other stings I've done. Right. But both of them, nobody showed. So I had zero media. But at the point, what am I going to do? And I also had a camera off to my side where you can't see it. It was filming because I want to make sure that there was no way I was missing this.
That sounds like me. That's so me.
We would have figured it out.
I usually have like backup to my backup to my backup and just record the shit out of everything.
Record the shit out of it is how I felt about it too. And the next day, he mailed me the video. Because that's what he does. They go through they have their Zoom things and then they send it off to you the next day. The video.
Oh, that's good.
So I have it like in multiple ways. I've got video on top of video on top of video of this thing.
Okay.
So it's 2.5 hours long, and it was nearly impossible to watch. So you asked me a question about how this works. So he does an induction with the kids. Everybody close your eyes. We're going to reach out to whatever spirits, concentrated who you want to hear from. it takes forever. Oh my gosh, it's supposed to be 2 hours. We didn't start for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes in because he was late. First off, he's almost always late. Then he had this induction, and then he goes around with the instructions. And then it was like, I'm going to go in. He says, I'm going to go in this order. And he lists the names of the kids. And he says, I'm going to go in this order. And so get your question ready. And then he goes to each child and asks them, what is it they want to know? A lot of the children wanted to know, and this is heartbreaking, that the youngest kids there were 6. There was no 5-year-olds. So several of the kids really wanted to know why they weren't remembering their parents or the person who had died. So they were like, Daddy doesn't appear to me in dreams anymore. He died like 2 years ago or a year ago. And the moms, in one case, there was a grandmother, and they're all women. Every single one of them is on the side, and they're encouraging these children. Oh, I'm sure you're going to be able to hear from your daddy again. I'm sure what's going on is these kids are moving on with their lives, right? And their parents are not able to let go, and they want to continue this grief for the child. Oh, daddy's watching you. Every time you do this, daddy's watching you. Do you see those butterflies? Those are from your dad. Oh, do you see the coins? Are you seeing coins? Yes, those are from your uncle. Grandpa's sending you this. Grandma's sending you this. It was this need by the mothers to continue this cycle of grief. And the kids wanted to move on, but they didn't because they wanted to please their parent. And the parent is saying, you have to remember dad. You have to remember mom. You have to remember grandma. You have to, you could tell the kids were coached.
Right.
So that was what's going on.
I did notice because I watched the first couple minutes.
It's really hard to get through it. Yes, I know.
For the full video. And that was before they started. And I noticed that there was one mother with, I think, a son. And
12.
The way the mother was talking to the son, it was like, almost like, you're going to be here because I want you to be here. Yes. And you're going to pay attention. And she was like, really, I mean, I was surprised. Like, I was kind of doing other work, and that made me stop and look up and pay attention, because she was like, you're going to pay attention. Don't touch that. You're going to pay attention. You're going to do this. And the kid's like,
she didn't know how to use Zoom. She wanted to, he's like, mute it. And she's like, I want to hear what they're saying. And he goes, no, but you got to mute it so that they can't hear us. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. She was really high strung about it. And I know exactly which one you're talking about. The kid, he's doing his school from there. So he knows how to use Zoom.
Yeah. Like, much better than mom.
Mute this, otherwise they can hear you bitching at me.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it was really something else. The kids were not into, and one child, they said that the boy was going to be there, the son, and then whenever Thomas John called on the son and said, "Oh, I see," whatever, I can't remember his name now, Billy, and they're like, "Oh, Billy's not here. His little sister is," because Billy couldn't deal with this. He didn't want to. Okay. He didn't want to be here. So it was like, so she goes, "Okay, so I just brought in my 6-year-old."
Oh, okay.
My older child can't deal with the stress of this. You think that kid might not want to talk to dead grandma?
What do you think that would be a sign? Like, hey, mom, time to wake up. Listen to your child. Understand that they're going through something, and they don't want to broadcast it to some stranger that's online. Yeah, they want to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not getting that. And that one that we're talking about right now with the mom who changed children, she's a psychic. She works as a psychic. We had her website up within like 10 seconds of knowing what her name is. Her name's on the freaking Zoom screen.
Yeah.
Type. Oh, look, she's a psychic. Here she's talking about her kids. Here's her kids' names. Here's all the other information. Here's them on vacation. Here's there. It was so simple. It was.
Okay. All right.
Rob can't put the link up. It's saying that Facebook's not allowing him
what's the deal?
Put the link up.
For what?
For the New York State.
The New York Times one. He keeps pimping that out. I'll put it up there. Don't worry.
Well, I think there was a question by Jade Kitten. She wants to know if you can share the video.
Oh, okay.
That you're talking about.
I have the full video with everyone for 2.5 hours that I can't share because it has the people's real names and their faces on it. So I can't share them because I have the transcripts for it and I have watched it zillions of times, it feels like. If I was approached by the media who wanted to do a story on it or whatever, and they wanted to go in and edit it all out, blur the faces and blur the names, they can do that. I would be okay with that, especially because a media like NBC, ABC, CBS, something like that would have the lawyers that would be able to handle the fact that we've just released a video. So I don't want to do that, but I can release a written word. So the transcripts on the article that I wrote, if they've got quotes around them, those are direct quotes from the video, and I can back anything up. But the video that Kenny was looking at, the shorter one, now that one I can release. I can release it for reasons that I can explain later, because the people have blurred out. It's 30-something minutes, but I'm not ready yet to release it yet. I'm close, but for Kenny, of course, I trust he can have it. And if the other people,
bitches, I got exclusive.
I can trust Kenny because it is an exclusive. And Kenny did tell me that there's about a half a second blip where I didn't blur it out completely. So now I got to go back and make sure that's completely out, because I can't have any of the parents or children showing.
And
I
also,
I've blurred them.
Yeah, it also helps with understanding where you're coming from.
And it's not important for you guys to know who the parents are or what the child looks like, because verbatim, like I said in the article, it's a direct quote. And if I release a transcript, that would definitely be really interesting. You can see it, and listening to, I think it's great to listen to the audio of how this works, the wordplay and the stalling and the just all that goes on that happens in these readings. Every medium is a little different, and Thomas John has a certain style. It's really hard to watch him and listen to. Very hard.
Yeah. And something that just popped up. I'm reading. Kevin put a comment up there about these people paid $400 for each. Say hundreds of times.
He's a number.
If you break it down further, for what I saw, each participant got 10 minutes for themselves.
Yeah.
So that means there were 70 minutes that weren't directed at you that you paid for. So you paid $400 for 10 minutes of personal time.
Absolutely.
So that's an outrageous price.
Some people would turn off their video, and you could tell they walked off and made dinner or something, and came back, just maybe played the audio.
I could see some, especially
I was ready to do that.
Some of the mothers you saw, they started going out, I think, playing on their phones.
Yeah, and you don't think that would be odd if I was, and I know you too, Kenny, would be doing this. If we were watching genuine mediumship or somebody communicating with the dead, our eyes would be on, almost on the camera with their jaw hanging out. We wouldn't be like, oh, he's talking to somebody else's dead person. I think I'm going to go over and fold the clothes now. Right. No, we would be fascinated. We would be just glued, but to them it's like a normal thing. It's not such a big deal. So everybody talks to the dead all the time, no big deal. And it's not, he's not kidding. Kevin's on my team. He's not kidding about the transcribe. When we transcribed it, Rob put through a transcription thing for the audio for me. There was 100 and something or something, and that took it out. They took out tons of and left in about 100 and something Wow. What did Kevin just see? I just didn't see it.
That was JD.
Oh, JD.
I'm not factoring in what it costs to receive messages.
Oh, yes.
I mean, those long distance charges.
That's what he just said. It's long distance.
Now let me tell you, $400.
Is that off peak? I
think they're peak hours.
Somebody told me, I got a message from my friend Stephanie yesterday or a couple days ago. She says, Thomas John's now doing $8 readings. I'm like, $8. He's down to $8. This is great. So I guess we're hurting him.
Oh my goodness. All right. So
where do you want to go now?
Let's dive in. Should we do our commercial early and then get into some of the readings?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can stay on as long as you need me to, too. So if you guys have questions, I'm here. So if you want to do a commercial.
I'm going to do a commercial break.
Yeah.
It's 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and I'm going to refill my cup. And then we're going to come back. We're going to get into some of the readings, I guess, how accurate was he? And then we'll get into some
Should you put the link to the article in before the break? Well, no, they should be looking at the commercial.
I put in the article. I'll put the Operation Onion Ring article back in.
They want to follow along or something.
All right, so you guys can bring it up. Here's the link to the article, and then you can bring it up and follow along as we're talking about it after the break.
Yeah, but listen to the commercial.
Here we go. We got 2 minutes and 22 seconds from now. Hey everyone, this is my store based on the theme of science and skepticism. It's here that you can find all kinds of shirts and hoodies, yoga pants, tote bags, the fanny packs I know you guys love, masks and pillows, all with science and skepticism as the theme. I even have hoodies for your pets. That's right, your dog or cat can wear one of these things. I also have a general store that sells more inspirational quotes or, drinking stuff because I like that kind of thing. I also have a store set up for our Three Tortured Souls podcast, which we do Saturday nights. You can find shirts and Tim Vicker's favorite drinking vessel, the mug. I also have a store tailored a little bit more towards my ghost hunting friends, Paranormal by I Am Kenny Biddle. These are shirts and quotes that are a little bit more on the ghost hunting side, especially this one, Translucent Perished Beings. Ghosts. That's my favorite. So if you're interested, head on over to teespring.com/stores/scientific skepticism by IAKB and check it out. Thanks.
Are you tortured by what you see and hear about the paranormal field? Join us as we critically examine and question paranormal claims, science, ghosts, demons, cryptids, UFOs, ghost hunting technology, and much more are all on the table for discussion. Three Tortured Souls is a video podcast that streams live on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 Pacific. Three Tortured Souls.
Back.
Oh, right. We are back.
There's a bunch of questions. We should address those too because I can't chat. I was gonna answer the questions in the chat and I can't.
We caught up.
Really,
we kind of answered them.
Well, there was some about did I ever have a belief in psychics? No. No.
Oh, hold on.
Where does he live? He has, I believe, he lives in LA. He's from Chicago. He's from Chicago. I think he's in New York. I think he's got enough money, and I think he was living in Vegas. So I don't know if you were to catch him on a live reading, like if you're doing a reading with him and you want to alert the authorities or whatever, or be able to record it, because some places have one kind of, what is it called? One person knows they're being recorded. It's okay to record. So I don't know what state he's in when he's doing the readings because he's just all over. Have any child psychologists weighed in on this one? Carol, remind me and I'll tell you about that. I have something I can actually maybe reveal.
Like Pennsylvania is a two-party state. You need to both people on either end have to know you're recording.
Right. So in California and Florida and I think New York also. But the thing is that I don't want to have to deal with that because I want a bigger media to deal with it. In the New York Times with the article, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to worry about lawyers. I don't have to worry about anything like that because of the. You're going to take on the New York Times? Seems like I saw a couple more questions. I don't know, but I can't really read them.
Okay.
A lot of people were answering some of the questions while you guys were talking. Yeah. So
there's a bunch of Wikipedia editors and Operation Grief Vampire that I think are in this chat. I can't really tell.
Yeah, and a lot of them are answering questions.
You guys can put up links. The one about Ray. Somebody asked, Jade Kitten, I think, asked about Ray. If one of you guys, Rob or something, could find that on Skeptical Inquirer and post that link, that would be good because I haven't heard from her after I wrote the article. The article was complete. It was the person who you've never had a real psychic reading before. And I said, okay, read me on live Facebook. And she did. And we communicated afterwards for a little bit. That's it. That's Jade.
There you go.
So if somebody could find that article I wrote on Skeptical Inquirer and put it up, I think it was something about when a psychic tried to read Susan Gerbic and failed or something like that. But if you could put it up so that it'll answer Jade's question.
Right. Cool. All right. So the readings.
Yes.
So there were 8 people, eight mother-child couples.
One grandmother and child,
Okay.
Everybody else's mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did they go? Were they like? Are we talking like spot on? Was everyone impressed? What can you tell us about that?
So several of the children were crying.
Yes.
It was very heartbreaking to watch. So what he would do, it was standard cold reading in a lot of cases, but with some hot reading. So he would obfuscate for a little bit, especially for the first couple readings where he was just back and forth with a lot of, are we talking about your mom, somebody's mom? Why am I getting somebody's mom? Something
Right.
like this. And it felt like he was stalling. And I think he was stalling for whoever was feeding him the information to give it to him.
Okay.
Which is odd because he could have gotten this information weeks
Could have been ready.
before.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's that type of person. I don't think he's good at it. So what happened is the parents are kind of like, let's get down to this. And like one case, Thomas John was starting to say, I'm getting an older, I mean, it was standard. I'm getting an older father figure. I'm getting an older woman who had trouble breathing at the end or whatever. You know, it's like, dude, that was like, so lame.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm not paying $400 for that. And then some of the mothers would interject, at least I can remember one saying, he wants to talk to his father. You know, like, I don't want to hear about some cousin who died or some grandfather who died. Let's get right to it. He wants to know about his dad. And so when the parent was mentioned or whatever the dead person was, the children did get emotional. The parents got emotional. There were several times that you could see them crying. And it was,
Tissue box came out.
yeah, the tissue box was already there on the counter for some moms. And
I did see that. I did see
yeah,
at least
so they
one
were
mom
already
pick up a
emotional.
tissue.
Almost all of them, when you're listening to the reading, and like I said, I listened to it over and over and over, and then we had a transcript, and I had to go through and make sure the transcript matched what was on the audio. And almost every time it was clear that these parents have had multiple readings. They would say, usually this guy comes through, or in the past, we've had this happen. So these are true believers who've had multiple readings with their children. Right. And even the woman who is a psychic herself, you know, you could tell that she's been pushing this angle. So there wasn't a lot of content. When you read this article and you look at this, I narrowed it down to 10 minutes of content, and there's not much else. I didn't leave anything out except a lot of ums and a lot of just bizarre stuff where he just kept going on and on. He praised the children a lot. He was very kind and patient with the kids. The parents had to prod him, like, you were going to ask about your grandma, remember? You know, oh, grandma, I want to know about my grandmother. I never met her. The kids probably could care less, you know. And the reading is for the parent.
Right.
They're paying the $400. And the reading is for the social media is coming from the parent. So the kids don't care. They're not reading the kids. They're just using that as an excuse. The parents are using this excuse to get a reading and to involve their children in it. But he built the children up a lot, like, oh, we want you to do well in school. Your grandmother's telling me she wants you to do well in school. I know someday that you really love animals. Don't you love animals? And someday you will work with animals and have animals or something. And someday your dad watches over you when you draw. He likes to see you draw. So, you know, draw a lot. And then there was also some instances where the children had spooky things happen to them. And in one case I write about in the article, it's a little boy, he's 6 or 7, something like that. And he sees, I might get these mixed up. There's one person who saw clear people at the door and got very scared. And that was a long time ago when he was young. So he's like 7, I think, in the article. So young, 4? And one said it happened when he called for his mom. His mom is now dead. And I think the mom's been dead a few years. And then another one said that I think they were talking about scary people or dark people, shadow people, something like that. So both times it was at the door. Something was at the door. And Thomas John did tell one child, that, those are evil, can be evil intentions. You just have to have a positiveness around you to keep them away. I'm thinking, you're really scaring this kid.
Yeah.
That's not right to tell this kid that there's shadow people. And what if the kid has a bad day and they're in a bad mood and a bad something? Would that be allowing the child to see scary, bad, clear people or whatever that is? So Thomas John's trying to explain it. He's just making shit up. About that's younger people always see spirits and they tend to grow out of it, blah, blah, blah. And everybody has this power. You just have to, pray enough, whatever. And so the parent, you can tell the parent and the grandparent in this case, all were pushing the child to continue having that paranormal experience. That if the child had just been allowed to go on with their life, they probably would never have heard or thought about that scary, clear person, shadow person, dreams. They were having dreams about their parents. Well, yeah, or grandma, or they say they had a dream. Of course you feel, if it's somebody that when somebody dies, you have dreams about them. Even if they don't die, you can have a dream about them. But you could tell that it was the parents reinforcing that again. Tell them about the time that you saw this, and tell them about the time that grandma came to you and spoke to you, that kind of thing. So it was really, really painful. I'm a mom, and I don't see that this was healthy at all for these kids, but these kids are going to grow up with this belief, and because the mothers believe.
And it becomes a vicious cycle, I think, because they're going to believe that this is true without questioning because they grew up with it. And that's been something that's pretty much a thread that runs through most of our work, is that you have these core beliefs when you grow up. And it happens with religion all the time. You were raised in a certain religious belief, and that's your core belief. That's what you base everything else off of. And it's very hard to break free from that.
Absolutely. And, I talk about the length of this article, and I included a lot in there. And I was writing this article not only for the skeptic community to say, awesome, great job, but I wrote it because I really wanted to, with the thought that maybe one of these kids is going to read this someday. They're going to stumble across it. Their names are all been changed, but they may stumble across this because this is, I believe, on his Wikipedia page. And if they stumble across it, I want them to see that I broke down their reading and explained it.
Right.
And I wrote that with them in mind, just that the possibility that one of these kids is going to read this, or the mother, which I doubt, but these kids may grow up and say, Mom is a little nuts and she believes in psychics. Or maybe they look into it, or maybe they say, we've always believed in psychics. And I had this reading by this guy, by Thomas John, when I was 6 years old. And I'm really curious about, and they Google Thomas John and the year. And they either get to his Wikipedia page or they get to this article, and then they'll be able to read what I broke down. And I'm hoping I'll hear from these people.
I think that's a common intention that we have, that you and I have, and a few others, that I don't write my articles for the skeptical community. I write it for the ghost hunting community. I write it for people that believe in psychics. I write it for people that go out looking for Bigfoot or UFOs. That's the people I write for, because I want to reach them, because the skeptics that I love and I love them and I love hanging out with them. But most of them already agree with me. So I'm not writing to them. This is a good outlet to let me spread it out to everyone else. I love reading your work, because I love reading about this, like the details that you gave on how you were able to get into a Zoom call.
Well, that wasn't included in the article. The article was long enough as it is. There's a lot that happened too. First, we were trying to get into it was scheduled for a particular day. And this isn't in the article either. So this is news you guys are going to hear for the first time. So it was scheduled for a specific day. We were ready. We were more than ready. We had rehearsed the night before, and we rehearsed right before the call. Everything was set up. We were ready to go. 13 minutes before it got canceled. So I get this email, one of the accounts, well, both of the accounts gets this email comes through in my email saying, sorry, Thomas John is going to have to cancel. He was visiting friends in Florida and there's a storm coming and there's not going to be there's no power. We're going to do this again a week from today, exactly the same time.
Wow.
So my account had to write back with, please take care. And I'm, however somebody would believe,
Right.
I'm praying for you that there will be no problem. And a lot of people, and this is when the NBC reporter was going to be on the call and she was going to be there. And then it got scheduled for the next week and I never heard from her again, even though I wrote to her multiple times and she just ghosted me. And I know she's not dead or anything because she's posting on Facebook and Twitter. So she just has decided not to talk to me, I guess, for whatever reason. But the thing is that it didn't get rescheduled because he knew I was there. And a lot of people were like, oh, he must know you're there. I'm like, no, I think the power legitimately went off on his end because he doesn't.
Yeah. Okay.
And they were like, oh, he needs more time to research you guys. I'm like, no. And then after, like we said, I don't think they were researching people in advance. I think they were researching people right at that moment, even though we got a message from Thomas John's assistant the day before the first date saying, please tell us the name of your child because Thomas John likes to meditate over the child's name. And
What?
Yeah, please tell us who's going to be there, who's going to meditate and all that. But yet, here they appear on the screen. And in one case, he was talking to a child by the name that he thought was there. And it was actually not that child. It was the younger sister. because the older child had said, I'm not doing this. It was a boy, and his younger sister was in his place. But the boy's name was like a name that could be male or female, like Tyler or something, so he didn't know. And then there was another little boy on the call, and I can't remember what name I gave him here on the article, but he had long hair. He's like 7, and he called him a little girl. And the grandmother was like, oh, haha, he's actually a boy. And I'm thinking, Thomas John, couldn't you tell that's a boy?
Right.
I mean, it was.
So this is just my opinion. So I would think that if I was a medium and I'm hearing voices from someone's like your dead relative, and you have, say, like a niece or nephew next to you, and I call them by the wrong name or call them a girl when they're a boy. I would expect, and I would be pretty pissed off if this didn't happen, but I would expect my dead family member to be like, yo, bitch, that's
right.
boy. You got the wrong name.
And is my grandson there? Don't call him a girl.
That's what I would expect. Like them getting pissed off. And I would want to see the psychic going, or the medium going, okay.
Right. Like,
right,
stop yelling
all
at
right,
me.
I'm getting yelled at.
Yeah, right.
I said something wrong. Hold on a sec. Oh, they're telling me I'm wrong. You're a boy. I apologize. My bad. Something like that. Yeah.
You turn him up a little bit.
Yeah,
right.
You would think.
You would think.
Question.
So, here's a question. Can anyone report TJ to Zoom with the claim of child abuse, inappropriate behavior with minors? Well, I don't think so because, again, he has a parent involved. So it's not...
And, Zoom has better things to do. There's probably people killing animals on Zoom right now or something. You know what I mean? It's not. Goodness. There's other things. And after the insurrection with the Capitol, all that, people were reporting all these, Confederate whatevers. So
I
the person we were trying to get the money to cancel, they were just it's like throwing a drop in the water. There's nothing you can do. I
did a presentation for AIPT Comics.
Oh yeah. When they needed to come up, I couldn't get up early enough to watch it.
Well, you missed out because when my presentation went up, somebody had drawn a big penis on the screen.
It happened later too. Kenny, it happened right before Celestia's talk.
Yeah,
They
I
didn't
was.
disable it.
I'm sitting here and I was like, oh, I'm doing work, and I'm listening because I know, like, I recorded the video. I know when it's going to end, so we get into the live Q&A, and I kind of look up and I'm like, that's strange. I don't remember putting that in my video. And I'm looking, I'm like, that's not bad. But I don't think I have that overlay. I don't know where that came from. How did I get that? I was like, guys, anybody else see the big penis? Or is it just me?
They drew swastikas on Celestia.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, there were definitely some hackers. And I have no idea how to work Zoom except click on, join with my audio, boom, I'm in. That's it. That's all I know how to do with that.
Well, you need to play trivia with us on Thursday night. Inviting you.
I've tried. I got in once, but unfortunately I couldn't stay. So
But everybody there, everybody plays.
Okay.
Comes in now.
all right. So we talked about a few of the readings, and I want to get into two of the readings because I really focus on them a little bit.
Right.
A little bit more than the other ones. So there's two. So I think in your article, they're the last two readings.
Ida and
Pat.
And then Jasmine and
Julie. So I have Pat and Ida. So Pat's the mom.
They're New Zealand.
And Ida is the daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay. And TJ was giving them a reading, and it seemed like there were hits and misses, and they were not like, they were not just kind of random throw your line out there and, oh, I just happened to hook one right away. These were like direct hits, and then they were also direct misses. So I'll just go over a few here. Some of the hits were that he picked up on the child Ida, that her grandmother passed, that she lived in London, that she died because of a lot of medical problems, but could not give details. That was a miss. He couldn't give the details on how she died or what happened, just that she died. That Ida, the child, was struggling. Ida was worried about her grandfather, who was now left alone and in the care of, I guess, her aunt. That they were worried because they couldn't visit them in London because the pandemic was going on. So there was no travel. And that this was really caught me. It was really important to focus on school because she was smarter than what her grades were showing right now. So there were some misses though, because he talked about how Ida would get together with her grandmother and bake cupcakes. Oh yeah. And
they were very close. They had long conversations.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, both Ida and her mom were like, no. And that was passed over very quickly. And that was like textbook cold reading mistake. I mean, that was like, oh, cupcakes? No. Okay, let's go on to this. And they moved right on, never mentioned the cupcakes again. They had a thing about gardening and flowers. He said he was trying to say, you guys are into gardening. Someone's into gardening and something with flowers. And that was a complete miss. And they moved on quickly. He didn't have any details about the grandmother's death. And then he mentioned someone on a farm. And he brought that up a couple times. Like, does somebody own a farm? Did they work on a farm?
Flowers?
And, yeah.
Something with flowers.
Nothing. And he actually made a comment, I noticed, to remember that. He told them to remember that because that might come up later.
Oh, an older man connected to the farm too.
And that, to me, that was like a classic technique where it was like, it's putting the burden onto the client rather than him himself saying, you think about it later and you connect the dots. So that was like, again, they were straight up hits and they were straight up misses. There was no in between. So this couple, you can tell us who they are. So these were your people.
These were my people.
Okay, these were your people.
Yeah,
and
Cherie McNatty and her daughter, who was 14, who played 12. Her name is Lilith, and they're in New Zealand. So they are my people. They said when I was looking for 12, I was trying on Facebook to find some 12-year-olds who wanted to be on to do something. I couldn't say what for.
Right.
And they're adult. I said, is there any people out there who have 18-year-old children who look like they could be 12 who would be okay with appearing on a video with their parent?
Hey, you know what? I can
and nobody was taking. They were like, "What the hell are you doing, Susan?" And then so Cherie, who I've met several times, she's with the New Zealand Skeptics. I've met her a few times. She said, "I have a daughter who's 14 who would be up for this. She does acting." And I said, "Could she look for 12? Because the cutoff was 12, 5 to 12."
Okay, yeah.
And she said, "Yeah, I think so." And I asked her. I said, "So." This is what's going to happen. We're going to be lying to a psychic. We're going to give him money. Are you okay with doing this? It's going to happen on this day. It's going to go for a couple hours. And you're not going to really know what's going on. And I quizzed her before we got on. Because remember, I'm making up the backstory. All that about London, her grandmother being dead. Her grandmother's alive. But they do live in London. But her grandfather's not a widow. Her grades are amazing.
I can read all.
Do you know anything about cupcakes?
I have the email.
Yeah. Okay. So read their email that I sent. Now I sent this email
Set this up. Yeah.
to Thomas, John, and Tracy like the day I bought the tickets, I think.
All right. So I don't have I have the whole email, but I'm going to read the important part. So because there were parts where like, "Hi, how you doing? Oh, I'm so glad."
Kia ora from Southern New Zealand. I had somebody from New Zealand look over the email to make sure it sounded like it came from somebody from New Zealand. I did that too.
That was good. So basically, all right. So the paragraph that really matters here is, quote, "My parents live in London and my mom passed over near Christmas. And because we are in New Zealand and the plague mess, we could not go see them in the last year and see her before she passed. Ida is my father's favorite grandchild, and she is very worried about her papa, Norris. I don't think my sister is taking care of him the way she should be, and we can't go to him, and he can't come to us, so we are not happy. Ida is a very good student, but since her nana got sick last year, we have been really struggling. Ida's grades are horrid." So every exact hit, every direct hit that he got in that reading came from this email.
Yes, he didn't mention Nana, and he didn't mention the last name Norris, but everything else was exact.
And I want to make it clear. Like, I went over this twice. I watched this video twice. Once before I read the email, and then after I read the email. And I was picking out everything he was predicting. And I was like, wow, this is literally coming from the email. This is not something that's plucked from the ether. This is not something that is whispered in his ear. He read this right off the screen.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is that in the past, and if people read the New York Times article and some of the other stings we've done, we've put out fake Facebook accounts. And it's really time consuming to make Facebook accounts for people that look authentic, that go on for weeks and months and years. And then the psychic reads them. Thomas John verbatim read in Operation Pizza Roll. He read Mark Edward and my Facebook pages that were fake Facebook pages that Mark and I had no ability to read. We weren't, somebody else was running them. We weren't able to see them. They were blinded. So in this case, I had to put this together in like 2 days. So there was no way I could pull up a fake Facebook account for these people and make a fake Facebook account. So what I did is I made it so that the only information he had was in this email I sent him. That's all he has. He couldn't use our Visa card because it was purchased at CVS. He could not use our email because I just made it up. He couldn't use our the names of the people because they were like really easy. Pat Martin. He couldn't Google it.
Yeah, right.
So there was nothing he could do to hot read except the email. I put him in a corner. I made it. How do I say this? I pulled it into the smallest.
You gave him one way out.
There was
That was
only
it.
one way, unless he wanted to just cold read them. But
Right.
they just paid him $400 and they're expecting something.
Right. And I mean, you could see the transition between hot reading and cold reading. To me, having this knowledge, the second time I watched the video, I was like, oh, this is absolutely, you can tell where he knows what he's talking about and when he makes a guess and fails. Because it was like when he would make a guess, they were both, you could see both women look at each other and like, no, we don't know what that means. What's that? Listening to attendees after in-person gallery. It's quite telling. They were upset because someone realized he looked up. Yes. I mean, when they realize it,
They don't. They never do.
Yeah. Most people do not
some
realize
do,
it.
but they do after the fact. They will write to me afterwards and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, what a fraud! This guy just read up my Facebook page." That's a totally different story. That didn't happen with this time. Not
I've seen
while
that.
this is happening.
I've seen that, and I know you've seen it because I've read about it. Where people are like, "There's no way they could have known that." And I think I did. I think there was
I just
another.
looked it up on Facebook. How could he possibly even know that?
How could he do that? There was another sting that you did, and I think I was going along with it. Like I was watching one of the videos, and as I was watching it, I was researching. I was doing my own research. Like I was in a race. Let me see how fast I can look this up compared to what they did. And I was looking it up as they were saying it on the video. I was reading it and going, "Damn, look at that! It's right on their Facebook page." Oh, it's public.
He and Matt Fraser have done it a couple times to reporters.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's what you're thinking of. It was really simple because reporters are very public. But we need to mention that this was double blinded. So Ida and Pat, the mother and daughter,
Yes.
in New Zealand, I quizzed them beforehand. I said to Pat, which her real name is Cherie, what are your parents' names? What if there was a psychic who was really communicating with the dead? What would they find? What would you expect them to do? You know, who's really dead? You know,
Well, yeah, because you want
and then
to
what are the names
yeah.
of the people and so on? Because I wanted to make sure that the story I constructed for them was nothing like real life.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make sure that I didn't accidentally name a child a dead grandma after a real dead grandma or something like that, because then that's ambiguous. Maybe, you know, it would just been wrong. So I asked them a lot of questions beforehand and she gave me a lot of information. So the story I constructed about her grades and so on, and that grandma was dead and died just before Christmas, that had no fact. The only thing that was true is that her parents did live in London, but he was going on about an older man and this woman who's obviously the grandmother and her father, and they had a farm and it, So to be clear, the New Zealand Skeptics team didn't really know what was on that on that email. They had a little information, and that's why in the video that you saw, they were like, I don't know, Mom, you know, like that. But what you don't see is that, because remember, I'm live streaming this to my group. So JD and Mark Edward and other people are watching this, and JD was waiting to see it. So we were waiting for Thomas John to say something. We were in a group chat on Facebook with this team at the time it was happening. So not only am I live streaming it, I have Cherie and Pat and Ida in a group chat on Facebook Messenger with JD and Mark Edward. And so as Thomas John is saying these things, we would write what to say as the answer.
Okay.
So Thomas John says, something about cupcakes or a grandmother who's dead in London. We would say yes. And then they would look on the screen and says the word yes. And then they would say, yes. So
I was wondering
as Thomas John is telling him. I don't think I said that very well. I hope that was
I get what you were
feeding them the answer.
You were feeding them the information. You were hearing everything as they heard it, and then they were waiting for you to supply an answer. And then So they pause, and you
So
can see
you'll
that
in the
You can
video.
see
They're
that.
like,
Yeah. They're kind of looking at each other, or they're like,
yeah.
okay.
Or dabbing at their eyes. Oh, she was great.
Yeah.
She was crying.
And then,
Oh,
then they provide the answer. So,
And-
yeah,
it
it was really good. It was really, really good. I mean, that was interesting. Do you get attacks afterwards for attacking a real psychic?
Well, that's great. I like that you put it in italic. No, Thomas John has come after me, calling me crazy, cat lady. It's great. I've tangled with far bigger fish than the psychic mediums. Trust me. Deepak Chopra and Rupert Sheldrake and the Brzezinski Clinic, and I have a long history of doing stuff like this, and I have really good friends. And I have a thick skin. They can't out me. I'm already out. I don't work. I don't have a job, so you can't get me fired. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
No, I've never had any. No, my neighbors all know that if somebody, and everybody knows that if I'm run down by a car when I'm out for a walk, they better find out where Thomas John was.
You know what's funny?
It wasn't an accident.
I have a list that my wife knows about where it's like, hey, if I die mysteriously, I have a list of suspects. Go on my laptop, go here, click on this shortcut, and there's a list here. Just start checking these. Print it out, give it to police, and just let them handle it.
Rob said it right. All the right people hate me.
It's all right.
I don't mind. It's a badge of honor. I'm happy to. People hated Randy too. So,
but you know what? It's going to happen no matter what. You go through this period of hate, and you're going to have this period of hate because people are making money exploiting other people.
Absolutely.
And when you try to out them, when you try to show people, hey, you're being taken advantage of, you need to look at this closer. Yes, those exploitive people are going to come after you. And
maybe because they don't really. I think they're really afraid. To be honest with you, I think they're pretty scared of me.
Good.
I really think so. And if they aren't, they should be.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
I really think that if they're not afraid, they're stupid. Because they keep bringing themselves to my attention, and it's going to get more and more. I am not one to just let it go. It's just not going to happen. We had another guy, totally different subject. I said, this guy named James Higgins in Britain, and I said, I'm going to write an article about it. Some, no-name Facebook psychic. And the Center for Inquiry, they said, Skeptical Inquirer said, why are you writing about this no-name guy? He's just one of thousands, and I'm like, I know, but there's a lot of interest in it and blah, blah, blah. So I posted in this Facebook group, I said, hey, can anybody give me some screenshots of this? Because I'm going to write an article about this guy. And I got a private message from him saying he was going to sue me and, I better not do it and blah, blah, blah. And so I went to to Barry Carr at Skeptical Inquirer. I said, hey, and I talked to the lawyer. I said, hey, this guy says he's going to sue me. And they're like, well, I guess you got to do the article now. Never heard from him again. But that's what happens. You have to, I'm not afraid. Like, what are you going to do?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's
Let's go to court. Let's go to court. You can prove you can talk to the dead. This would be interesting. Yes.
I've done the same thing. Little. I forget his first name. The lawyer.
Nick Little.
Nick Little.
He looks at all the articles I post on psychics. Yeah.
I met him a couple years ago at SciCon, and he said something. We were talking about it, and like articles about psychics and ghost hunters and stuff like that. And he's like, "Yeah, I've never had to worry about your articles." And I took that as a challenge. I was like, "Yo, bitch, okay." So, boom. I mean, last year I actually got his attention because of stuff, not anything that I wrote because I was going to, but we can talk after the show. But it got more involved with our friend Mr. Underdown, and a person that we were involved with. So I was happy, and I thought it was that was my badge of honor that I got the attention of the lawyer, where he was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't do anything without consulting me first." And I was like, Damn. Okay, fine. All right, so that's awesome. I mean, you have your people in there.
So he did not tell that they were not there by the names that they were said they were in.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, he couldn't tell that she was 14 and not 12. Number three, he didn't know that they were skeptics from New Zealand Skeptics group.
Right.
He didn't know that her grandmother was alive and well in London. Her grandfather wasn't widowed. Her grades are exceptional. He wasn't able to tell that their money to attend was paid for by James Randi and the Guerrilla Skeptics. He blew it. I mean, there was nothing that anybody watching who watches this video and listens to it or reads my article, there's nothing that he could possibly say was an out, because what they try to say sometimes is, well, you lied, so therefore he picked up on that and it covers it up or something, No, because I lied.
No,
but that's about the best they could say. So he's been really quiet about this one. But anyway, so they did a fabulous job, wonderful acting. In the article, I put up a little video that Lilith has done. I thought she's a really cute, great little. She did a really good job. She was very sympathetic, and she was really worried that we were going to harm the other kids in the call. So she was like, we're going to be lying to all these people. What about these kids and stuff? She felt very, like sympathetic to them.
Right.
And her mom explained to her, and I explained to her too, that, this is the way you have to do this kind of stuff. I'm sorry, these kids are going to be harmed, but it's not I warned him multiple times, do not do this children's spirit circle.
Right.
I did everything in my power I could to get him to cancel it, and he refused to cancel it. So now we're not done.
We're not done yet. No. What do you hope when he stops in?
Kevin's invited him.
Thanks, Kevin.
Come on over, Thomas.
So, yeah, you're not done, because I kept reading and I kept looking and I kept watching. And the video that I got to watch, because you sent me both. I got to see the entire, I haven't watched the entire thing yet, but I watched the short version, which included only
2 readings.
2 readings, yes. One by Pat and Ida, who were your people.
New Zealand.
And then I watched something from, let's see, it was Julie and Jasmine. And that was
Julie and Jasmine Jones.
Yeah, all J's. I was like, this is interesting. But I really have to say, as soon as they popped up on screen, I was like, okay, I know her. I know her. I know her. I've met her. I've watched her speak. I know exactly. And so who did you have? You had a second. Bailey Harris. Bailey Harris
is 14 now. But at SciCon a year ago, she did a lecture. She's really great. She's written books on science. Yeah, you got one of her books? I have mine here. I should have pulled them out. She's written several books.
We got all of them.
All of them.
Stardust. She's been, she's something else. She's great. She's got puzzles, and she's just now, they're putting these books through a translation project right now to be translated into Arabic. And
they said that. Yep.
That you got that. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I've got her books too. So she's a very mature, now 14-year-old
young lady.
And I had met her and her family at SciCon. They're wonderful people. They live in Utah. They're humanists, the secular humanists. They're a little more in the world of, atheism and that kind of thing, and less in this, the psychic world. This wasn't something that I would have thought it appealed to her.
I'll add here, Elle, her younger sister, Elle, has been on this show twice.
Oh, really?
Yes. Her and Doug, her father, had been on the show twice. One recorded because, her bedtime hours were different then. And then followed up, she came on live and we had a great time. So awesome time. Kids. Everyone loved her.
Absolutely great kids. It's a great family. They live in Utah. They're apparently moving to California. And big state. That's where I'm at, by the way. Anyway, so Mark Edward asked, because I'm seriously scrambling to figure this out, and I bought one ticket for the New Zealand group. When you made
about the sold out thing.
Yeah, okay. Don't let me forget to talk about the sold out thing. So what's going on? Remember, I'm really scrambling. So these are supposed to be sold out tickets, right?
Right.
So I managed to buy the ticket for Ida and Pat. And I was like over the moon. I did a happy dance. I was so excited. Now, I had to go get cash out of my account during the pandemic, right? And I'm not going anywhere. So I had to go get cash at a bank. Take that cash to a CVS and buy a Visa card and run back home, activate that Visa card. And then I gave the number to Pat in New Zealand. I said, go to the form. Here we are live, going back and forth. Go onto this form and register. Here's the account number. Because I wanted it to come from New Zealand. So it was an involved process.
Right.
Thankfully, I bought a second Visa card. So these are $400 each. So I had to, take out $1,000 out of my account. And thankfully, they're two different Visa cards. And that's important because Thomas John can see the last 4 digits of your Visa card. And he can also see the address you put in and the email and the phone number and the name. Because I got a receipt for it. And I know he's getting it because other reasons why I know he's getting it.
Right.
So the address and the phone numbers I gave for Jasmine and Julie are real addresses and real phone numbers in their area. It's not their house, but it is real. I mean, I went to an apartment complex on Google and typed it in at their apartment, and I looked at the phone numbers for something. And same thing with Pat and Ida is a real place. She gave me like a phone number for an ex somebody that she knows they'll never answer the phone. And so these are real things you could search and they would come up with an address. So, I mean, I had, and the 2 Visa cards. Now remember the last 4 digits show. So I had to make sure they were different Visa cards. Otherwise they would look like they were all purchased from the same Visa card. I mean, there's only 8 people here and 2 of them got the same last 4 digits of the number. What are they on that? So I almost forgot where I was going with this. So I had to buy those tickets, but so Mark Edwards suggested, why didn't you try Bailey Harris? And I said, oh, she's not going to be interested. So I wrote to her and it took her a day. And in the meantime, Ida and Cherie and her daughter decided they would do it. And then Bailey said, oh, this looks interesting. I'll do it. I'm like, are you kidding? Your mom has to be there the whole time. She goes, well, my mom doesn't really want to do it. She's really nervous about it, but my dad will do it. And I said, well, if your dad will be there for the whole 2 hours, that's great.
Right.
I'd rather be your mom because I know it's going to be all moms. So Doug, her dad, was there the whole time, but he was on the screen right next to them. He was on camera. He was monitoring the Facebook. So the 3 of them were there the whole time.
I love it.
Puppy there and everything, and she's eating cereal and stuff. It's so funny. And
don't forget Jesus.
Yeah, and so tell them what you noticed, Kenny. I
noticed.
I
didn't want to put. So just telling everyone that's watching, I didn't prepare the video because protecting the people, and I didn't know if Susan was okay with it, and I really didn't want to get into that because that's her thing. But when you watch the video and you see Bailey and her mom pop up, the one thing I noticed in the background, like almost right next to her shoulder of Bailey, there's a picture of Jesus. Framed, a framed picture of Jesus. I'm like, that's a nice touch. Wow. As soon as it popped up, like 2 things, like within the first half a second was like, I know her. What's Jesus doing next to her? Wait a minute.
Very Catholic looking Jesus.
Yes.
And that was suggested by a friend of mine on Facebook named Stephanie, who knew what was going on. And she knew enough of what's going on to know that she says, you got an atheist going to be going to it. Why don't you make sure there's something in the background that looks like it's not atheist? And so I asked Bailey if she could find a picture of Jesus, and she put it out, put it in the frame, and put it on the behind her. And if you read her reading, you'll see that her reading is very guardian angel-y.
Yes.
I'm getting
There
really
is-
wide echo. Is that me?
Oh, it might be the platform. Sometimes it does that. I wouldn't worry about it. It'll go
I'll
away.
Pretend it's not there.
It'll go away. Yeah.
So
So-
yes, that was there intentionally, and it did change. That's cold reading. So you're looking at the environment, what people are wearing, making judgments about people that are statements that look like they would be, fitting. So why don't you read the email, because this is a totally different email that was sent
Yes.
to Thomas John using the fake email that I came up with.
And this will be good because it'll. I'll read the email first, and then we'll talk about the readings.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing that echo too.
Yeah, we're getting it.
Hopefully, it goes away soon.
Sorry, guys.
So all right, here we go.
Thomas John.
Email is. I gotta put my glasses on for this. Hello, I know it's last minute, but wondering if you might have one more opening for the Spirit Circle tomorrow. My daughter has been having a tough time during the lockdown, and her close friend's father died of COVID in January, and she is worried about that it will happen to us next or to her older brother who will not get the shot. If you have an opening, I will hurry and purchase a ticket. We loved you on Seatbelt Psychic and binge watched it and your other show. Amazing the power you have and comfort you bring to people. And then a follow-up email was, okay, got the ticket. Jasmine is really excited to talk to Thomas. She's 12, but very friendly and is very starstruck to speak to him. I hope this goes well. She might just seize up and say nothing. Her father and I will be shocked. I told her that Thomas is kind and used to talking to people like her. Her brother Joshua has moved out of the house because he does not like our rules and is very stressful. It's very stressful. He won't get the vaccine, and that has all of us so stressed out. Thank you very much, and bless you all. So
God bless.
God bless. Love and light.
Look,
So
that was the email. That's all he knows.
that's all he knows.
All he knows.
So
They have common names.
Get out the highlighter.
exactly.
So there's a lot in there. I mean,
Thank you, Mark.
bring out the highlighter, he says.
Because that's what I do all the time now. I get out the highlighter and I highlight stuff when I print out bios. So as I went through the reading and I listened to the reading, it was really interesting. I mean, at first, TJ says something about the close friend's father, and he makes a comment about someone in your circle, that someone, not the person in your circle, but someone close to them has passed or crossed over. And I was like, all right, well,
Yeah.
that's it. He's talking about the friend's father, that he passed recently. He got that. That he died from COVID. He got that. And then he went into protective angels.
Well, but Bailey and Jasmine don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
They
And
were
you
totally
see that.
confused.
That in the beginning, yeah, when he mentions the friend's father,
She's
or
like,
like
no,
the-
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
they had no idea. So I don't know if what happened there. Did they just?
I'm giving him JD and I and Mark are giving him the information over Facebook Live, and they missed it. And so, things are coming in fast and furious, and we're trying not to say a lot once the readings are going on. We're trying to only say, keep it quiet and just when we type, so there's only something from the see. But they missed that bit, and so she was supposed to agree to that, and she didn't because they missed it.
But she does recover, and
Because I had a conversation with him on Facebook Messenger afterwards. I said, you're supposed to agree to that. There was a guy, it's your friend's father. So agree to it. Yeah.
But it's interesting because that part, because TJ starts to bring that up, and they're both like, no, we don't know what you're talking about. We've had friends that have had it, but no one died. And I kind of like it. When people are uncomfortable and not sure what to say, I love listening to what they actually say, because Bailey's mom says, no, we know people that have had COVID, but they didn't really die. And I'm like, how do you not really die as opposed to really die?
Not really
But
die.
it was a funny part. It
died.
made me laugh. But
Mostly dead.
Because they missed that, it was like, okay, TJ went on to other stuff, and he started bringing up the angels.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started bringing up the angels first, and then
Spirit
going to
guides.
spirit guides. Yes, and talking
But
about
even
how many.
spirit guide,
Yeah, how many people, how many guides she has around her.
many protections around her.
And I kept like, I'm looking at the Jesus picture going, wow, dude. Like you took that from one picture. You just went crazy with that. Okay.
Well, in the email, it does say that she's really worried about protection for the family.
Yeah.
She's frightened about the COVID being and she wants protection for the family or whatever, something like that.
And
so
then
he
he does
did
make,
emphasize
yeah.
that.
He makes comments about having an issue with a brother. And he also was like, is this brother older than you? Yes. And like he doesn't, he's kind of far away. He's not very close, right? And the email mentions that he had moved out already. He was out of the house. And then, they make a mention of like TJ says something about an M name. And I think Bailey says something about, well, my friend's father, I think his name was Nicholas. But
because I interfered and said, you missed something.
Okay. Her mom like jumps in and goes, well, yeah, his name was Nicholas, but I think he went by Mark. And I was like, damn.
Nicholas Mark. Yeah,
I didn't need any email. I didn't need
Mark.
I didn't need inside information to know. I was like, oh, you're covered. All right.
And then she comes back to it. And Thomas John gets a little irritated. Now, this is the end of 2 hours, so Thomas John must be exhausted from reading the scream and making up bullshit. But so he's, cha-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. He could see the meter running, and he's like, I guess I got to get this anytime because I made my $3,200. But the mother, Jasmine, her name isn't Jasmine, her name is Mackenzie. But Jasmine, I'm going to call her that because I've got it in my head now. So Jasmine goes back and says, well, wait a minute. There was this guy, her friend, Jasmine's friend. Julie's the mom. That's right. So Julie says Jasmine's friend's father died of COVID. I forgot about that. And Thomas John's like, that's who I brought up at the beginning. He's almost being that sarcastic. And
wow.
Like, duh. And she says, oh, I got confused. I thought you meant a relative had died of COVID. Right. Julie's thinking really fast, right? He goes, no, I said a friend, somebody in the circle. In other words, he's reiterating what's in the email and arguing with her about what's in the email because he knows it's factual because she wrote it to him in an email. But it wasn't her. It was me.
Yes.
Again, I wrote the email. Money came from the James Reddy Educational Foundation. Speaking to a 14-year-old pretending to be a 12-year-old. Whose mother and father are sitting right next to her, who are prominent skeptical activists and humanists.
Yes.
And that's not their name. They don't have a brother named Joshua. And Thomas John didn't mention the name Joshua, but he did mention the older brother being out. I think
that was mentioned in the email.
The name was in the email. We were waiting for that to happen. Jasmine, Bailey Harris had no idea what her brother's name was. And at some point he says, what is your brother's name? And she says, I don't want to say it.
Right.
And he goes, well, tell me what letter it starts with. And then I typed in, or JD typed in J. And she says, J. So he goes, yeah, okay. And he sits, and Thomas John sits for like a count of 20 seconds. Okay. I'm getting that he's, and he's connecting to him. This non-existent brother of hers.
Huh.
And he's connecting to this guy. He says, I am connected to him. He is going to be okay.
He's waiting for his Wi-Fi to connect. That's
he's living his own life. Everything will be fine. You're protected by angels. The eagles got you. Eagle Scout or whatever. He's got you protected. And there was a point where Thomas John was allowing questions at the very end. And so he had what had happened, this exchange with her about her brother. It was mentioned in the initial reading, the 10-minute reading. And then when it got to the Q&A part, which he only had, it was going on for so long, he only had a few minutes. I told Jasmine, I said, Bailey, I said, I need you to push this about the brother. Mm-hmm. So she went in and she asked him again, no, I need to know that my brother is going to be okay. And then that's when he said, what's your brother's name? And she goes, I don't want to say it. And he says, what's the initial? And I typed in J, and she says, a J. And he goes, and it was like 20 seconds where he's really trying to connect to this Jay brother who's living out somewhere, not getting the vaccine and living his own life. And then he answered her. So she pushed it to make sure. I want to make damn sure we had this, and we got it.
Right.
Wow.
He connected to a non-existent person.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, it was when you released a video, I think people, it will really solidify what you're talking about here. Because it's,
Right.
For me, again, like I watched it before I had all this information. And then afterwards, when because I had read the article before, but I need to refresh. You know, I actually brought it up on screen, like side by side with the video, so I can read it as the reading's going on. And I was like, wow, this is like me just getting an email and talking to you and saying, oh, well, I'm going to redact the part where, Susan, you sent me an email, and then just say, oh, you sent me an email about this, and this, and just read it off to you. It was so ridiculous that it was just word for word what was coming off of what you told me.
He put it into his own words. He wasn't literally reading it, but he was pretty damn well reading.
Yeah,
again,
it was right there. Yeah.
Out. The only thing he has is that email, or those two emails in Bailey's case, their Harris's case, is that they received 2 emails. Well, if you count, I think there might have been 3, because remember the event was canceled, and they sent an email to them saying, we're canceling. We're going to do it again from a week from now.
Right.
And then I had to send an email to him saying, God bless you, kind of thing. So the New Zealand group and the Harris group both sent an email saying something simple, like, we'll be there,
Okay.
take care of yourself, So there was 3 emails from Bailey Harris's side, the Harris side, and 2 from the New Zealand side. I'm being really specific to make sure that that was the communications. And I think there might have been one more communication. Tracy said, that's Thomas John's assistant, said something about to the fake Jasmine and Julie account. She said something like, oh, you're such a good mother.
Yes, you did. Yes. It is in there.
Thank you. We're so blessed.
In parentheses, it says, Tracy responded saying that she loved my response and said I was a wonderful mom. So yes,
thank you.
So
thank
wonderful.
You, Tracy. Thank you for saying that about me.
There were 2 things that I wasn't sure about with that reading. So hopefully you can clarify. So the first one is that TJ mentioned something about a woman that was very sick prior to passing. And both Bailey and her mom said something about an aunt with MS. So and
I don't know anything about that. So I don't know if that was true or if it was. So Thomas John, obviously, it sounds like a cold read. I'm getting a woman who was very sick before she died. No kidding.
Really?
An older woman who was very sick. He does this a lot, where she was having mobility issues right before she died.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, most people do.
Really?
Yes.
So it was just a cold reading statement, I think, because again, all he has is those emails. And so I think he's just trying to fill 10 minutes, because all he has is those emails. What are you going to say?
Again,
and so
Mark's suggesting this is the Bible of psychic mediums. Love this book.
So I think that was just pulled it out. And I don't know if
what did you say?
Can you show the book on Passages book?
Oh yeah.
So so I think he was just trying to fill the 10 minutes, and what Mackenzie Harris responded with somebody, an aunt that had MS. I don't know if that was true or not, or she was just filling it too. He just dropped it and went on because it wasn't
right. Yeah, he moved on pretty quick. The second thing was the female that he mentioned with stomach problems. And
was that with Jasmine?
I think with Bailey. Oh yeah,
Bailey, a woman who had stomach problems.
And she said something about like a friend of hers that had stomach problems. And I mean,
and he says that
honestly, from my point of view, it looked like she was just going with it.
I think she was.
But they
were doing a really good job following on. Remember, they don't know really what's in the emails. So they have a vague idea. They have a little bit of an idea what's going on. Something about, because I had to ask Mackenzie and Jasmine Mackenzie and Bailey. When I see them in person, I'm going to be so confused with them.
Well, Rob Palmer still calls Donna Chloe.
Oh yeah, Chloe. Well, that makes sense.
Zoe.
Zoe.
And you're Ed.
Zoe. And I'm Ed. Yeah.
But so I think they were just going with it. So yeah, there was a woman with stomach problems. Was just somebody she knows that has stomach problems. Well, you're a teenager. You got problems with your period and stuff like that. Of course, everybody in her school that's female is probably having problems with stomachs, and aches and stuff. What does that mean? And Bailey said, yeah, I have a friend that I think was having some problems or something like that. And he said, that must be it or something like that. So I think that was just,
okay.
I'm glad you caught it, but I don't think it was anything. I think it was just filler.
I wanted to clarify, just to be fair, just to bring up, those are the two things that I picked out. I was like, all right, I don't have explanations for those. Like, I don't know what's going on because I can attest because I have participated in your stings. So I know the process. I know that we as the people undercover don't get shit.
You get a little bit of background because you got to be able to play a role.
Right. We get, I think with our sting, it was the night before.
Operation Peach Pit.
Yes, the night before we went on a Zoom call. We had a Zoom call up on a big screen, and you gave us like 2 lines each of information.
This is your name.
Yes,
you are married to this person, or you have broken. This is your ex-girlfriend, and you're hoping to get back together with her, and this is her. And Zoe's wearing a blue wig because of this reason.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah.
We had to make up the rest.
Have fun.
And it wasn't like we were just sitting on a Zoom call.
Your Facebook pages, Facebook pages.
We actually had to go to like a casino. We had to sit at a bar. We had to talk to people and make up shit as we went because we had no idea.
This is my ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
This is my ex-girlfriend. Yeah, I flew in just,
I was at a bachelor party this weekend.
Booty call.
Yeah, I had a very good time, I'm told.
So,
I believe in ghosts.
I just want to clarify that because
Rob Palmer ran your account.
Yes, and that was just interesting. I mean, like we had very minimum information going in, and I was still feeding. I was sending pictures from the event to you guys.
Yeah, you sent us pictures of the event, and then the team that was playing your characters on Facebook posted those pictures to your fake Facebook page. So it looked like they came up on your fake Facebook page. And that's what we did with Thomas John with Operation Pizza Roll. So so if they're monitoring your fake Facebook page that you have no access to, they see those pictures.
Right. And
we
it's
really
still going.
overthink a lot of things in this world of stings.
So it's very, very involved. I want to make sure everyone understands that. It's not something that just is like, hey, let's just do this. It's planned out. There's a lot involved behind the scenes.
Get a TV show.
Mark just said, that's why we can't get a TV show.
Yeah. Susan, how do you come up with these food calls? I know the food things. The food
Okay.
names.
There is a reason for this. Let me explain it. So Mark comes up with the names. We have to Google to make sure it isn't a real thing. The first one I did was called Operation Bumblebee. It was with Chip Coffee. All of this is on my website, you guys. If you want to go to susangerbic.org and you click on the Grief Vampire tab, every single article and every single sting, audio, screenshots, everything's there, except not Operation, this latest one, the audio, the visuals aren't there, but the everything else is, because I haven't released this video yet. So a long time ago, we were doing stings before I was really, really active, and Sylvia Brown was the person we were kind of going after. And one of the things that Mark Edward had decided to do is that you use these lime-colored pieces of paper, 4 on a page, and you print out on it just the most egregious things that Sylvia Brown had ever done. Sylvia Brown was a psychic. She's dead now. She didn't predict death, by the way. What we did is Mark put the most, so that if you Google the names on this piece of paper, you would be directed to the failures of Sylvia Brown. It was like, it doesn't say Google these names or these are Sylvia Brown's failures. It just said these names. Boom, 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 boom. So what we did is when we went to TAM one year, and there's a video of this up somewhere on somewhere about where we did this. A whole bunch of skeptics. We went to Sylvia Brown's show and we stood outside and we had a big banner that said "Convicted Felon Sylvia Brown," and then we handed out these lime green papers, and even people anybody who's walking in that direction were like, take these papers and put them in the bathroom, put them in the venue, leave them everywhere. And it was great to find the drunk people. You're like, hey, take a stack. They're like, oh, I'll take a stack. I'll put them everywhere, you know. And so the idea was, you know, I'm all into activism, this idea of activism. So if you were to fast forwarding. So if somebody sees that paper and sees these names on it and they Google them, they're going to get something, right? I don't want it to go to a website. I want them to be able to do their own research kind of thing. So if you were to find a piece of paper at a Thomas John event, like you come in, you sit down, and there's a piece of paper, a bright colored piece of paper on the seat, and all it says is Operation Pizza Roll, Operation Onion Ring. You're going to want to Google that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who wouldn't? And if the paper was taken from you, or you just saw it briefly, you'll remember Operation Onion Ring, and you know how to spell it. So all the things have memorable, easy to spell names. They all have, because Operation Ice Cream Cone, Operation Bumblebee, that was our first, it wasn't food. Yep. Operation Lemon Meringue, Operation Peach Pit, Operation Onion Ring.
Wait, there's more.
Mark says there's more. I can't remember. So they all have easy to remember, easy to spell. So if you even just saw the paper and said, you know what was that paper we saw earlier, honey, that you threw away? And they say, an apple or orange. No, I don't think we did an apple or orange. Not yet. But you have to Google it, make sure that it doesn't come up with something, because Operation Bumblebee is actually a thing. It's a military something with ships in World War II or something. So I didn't plan that one out really well, but it was the first one I did. So that is why. So somebody could walk into a Thomas John show, because remember he was in Vegas for a while.
Right.
So we were going to have somebody come into the show, and in the bathrooms, the nearest bathrooms to Thomas John's event, and litter it with these operation names, and then just leave, and just go in, leave them, and walk out. And people would be, and if Thomas John sees somebody holding one of these pieces of paper, you know, like what's this? And you can see Thomas, because the whole idea is you want to ruin their day. You know, you want to knock them off their game. They're just performers. Right. So Thomas John, he's looking through the curtain to see who's here, and he sees these people going, "What's this? Operation what? Oh, honey, it's just junk mail. Just throw it away." Well, okay, I'll just put it in my purse for later. You know, Thomas John's going to have a little shit there right there, you know. Somebody might look that up.
All right. So
that's why they have the unusual names.
Yeah, well, there's a question here.
Okay.
Hold on one sec. I have to go.
I can't see the question. I'm taking my glasses off, because otherwise they just sit there and read the feed.
After you do a sting, do you actively attempt to get the results out to believers? Have you seen any impact of the stings?
So they're immediately put on the Wikipedia page, because there's all sorts of rules about Wikipedia, and only certain people can write articles that can be put on Wikipedia pages and all that. But because we have a Wikipedia editing team that follows all the rules, and we know how to do that. So we can put the articles up on Wikipedia. So anybody Googling these people are going to get a face full of, this is what happened. Okay. So that is getting to his fans.
Is Onion Ring on there yet?
Onion Ring's on there, yeah, I think so. So if somebody says, "Oh, I think Matt Fraser's so adorable. Did he ever marry that woman? Oh, how old is he? Let's Google him. Oh, look, here's his Wikipedia page. Oh, he's only 37. What's this about Operation Peach Pit? That sounds interesting. What's that? Oh. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, so and again, if it's on the Wikipedia page, who's going to not want to read a section called Operation Peach Pit? My goodness. Yeah. So I have been approached by people, a lot of people who have read these articles, who have been involved and been harmed by these people. And so I haven't really told their stories very much, because it's really private. They feel really awful. One woman wrote to me, and we've been Operation Lemon Meringue. we were on the Zoom call. We're all watching this video. We're watching it happen in front of us, and my team is Googling the people. And we said, oh, look at this lady over here that's talking about a cowboy hat, and her husband died, and she's bawling her eyes out. And they're like, oh, yeah, look, here's her Facebook page. Oh, look, there's a picture of her with her husband who died with a cowboy hat on. And so we were, we moved on because, of course, it's going to next person. Well, a few days later, I got an email from this woman. It was the woman. She says, I was on this call and I bawled my eyes out. And then later I realized that I think that he's kind of maybe might have been reading my Facebook page, and I Googled him to look to see how much he was worth. She was trying to see, if he was a wealthy psychic or whatever. And she says, the first thing I got was this New York Times article. And then I went to his Wikipedia page and I read all about him. And now I'm writing to you to let you know that this is what happened. I'm like, I was watching it,
Yeah.
but I couldn't reach out to her, but she reached out to me. We had a long conversation for a very long time. She's like, I want him hung up. She said, I cried for days.
Wow.
She said, I cried for days. I don't feel like I can trust anyone again. That was just, he was lying. He was lying about talking to my husband. And
right.
I got it.
I haven't told her
Long
story
gone.
because it's just too painful. And I don't think she'd want it told. But so I have heard from people. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess at the end of all this, what's the takeaway? What's if people are like, why do you do this kind of sting? What lessons should we be learning from this?
Well, okay. That's a very good question. Well, James Randi is gone, and we can't find one person to fill his shoes. So I need to find lots of people to help me fill some of the shoe of James Randi and the things he did. So part of the reason why I do these is to train and motivate a team of people to do this, because I'm going to eventually burn out and I'm not going to be doing this anymore.
Right.
I am going to write a book. I announced it in the last article. I am going to write a book, but I took on another project. So the book is kind of sitting to the side a little bit.
I know how that is.
It will probably be called Grief Vampire.
Okay.
So part of the reason is I need to find people who most people really want to do something, but they're very like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know. They're worried about doing it wrong. Lots of the team members, are just like, if they follow along with it, then they get more confidence and so on. So a good chunk of the reason why I'm doing these things is to train the next generation of people who will be the people who will follow in the steps of James Randi. So that is important to me. And that's why a lot of the articles I write have a lot of detail of how to do it. The other reason I'm doing this, as I said, like, especially with the articles, is I'm hoping these children, or at least the moms or somebody, will grow up someday and find the article and read about themselves and say, I thought it was different, but now that I'm listening to it and reading this transcript, this is what he said. And that was it. And we paid $400 for it. The other reason is it's getting to the Wikipedia pages. It does have an effect. I know it does, because we can see they're not getting a second season of the TV shows. More and more people write to me and say, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Thank you for opening my eyes.
Forget the $8 reading.
Oh yeah. I mentioned that Thomas John apparently is doing $8 readings now, which is great, because he's supposed to be $8. So I don't know if that's true. I haven't looked into it, but that's what I was told. The other things that are takeaways that I think are really important that our community understands is to have sympathy for these parents. I mean, these are almost all women. They're always they're being taken advantage of. These are grieving, desperate people. And I did mention I was going to come back to this about a grief thing. I was approached by a woman just really recently, a professor in Arizona, who I just had a Zoom call with her recently. She is a grief therapist, and she says, I'm sick and freaking tired of my people who are going through grief, mainly for their children's deaths, seeing psychics. They're just preying on them. She says, isn't there something we can do? And she says, it happens all the time. I'm so sick of it. And so her and I have come up with a strategy. I'm leaving it on her plate to do it because I'm too busy. But she's got an idea of something to do. It's more in the scholarly line, something I wouldn't have had any ability to do. So yes, I have heard from her. But I did before Operation Onion Ring. I reached out to everybody on Twitter that had anything to do with grief and children, and nobody responded. I said, hey, this is going to be happening. A word from you might help. Nothing. I heard nothing from anybody. So that's another thing I've learned. The media sucks. Sometimes they're on your side, but my gosh, to get a pitch to somebody to do a TV show, and people are constantly writing to me, somebody needs to do a story on you. Somebody needs to do a story on your things, but they all want you to sign these documents to do a pitch on you. And then they'll pitch it to something, ABC or Netflix or Hulu or whatever. My God, you can go to Netflix, you can watch a documentary on girls picking out their prom dresses. But no on psychics or anything like this. What I do is been compared to two different shows. Don't Fuck with Cats. And the other one is Catfish. And there is, to get the media to get to this point, it's really hard. And Mark and I have said we're not doing anything that has two sides. No show we will be on is going to be like, well, maybe there is something to the psychic business. We're done with that. No, there's tons of paranormal TV out there. That's bullshit. We won't do it. So that's a little problem. Most people who write to me who say, we want to do a documentary on you. I hear that all the time. And they say, oh, we've done all this research and all that. I'm like, oh, okay. Can you tell me who James Randi is? Never heard of him. Okay, well, I'm not working with you. Because anybody who's done any research into this knows who James Randi is. So I'm not working with you. Yeah. So that's another. And they just wanted to tie you up. I've had TV shows. I had two that wanted to follow me along on a sting. After I did Pizza Roll, they were so excited. They wanted to do it again and send in a TV crew and their reporter. So they were going to do it again. I said, I just did it. They said, yeah, but we want to do it with video and we want to do it with our reporter. I'm like, screw you. No, I just did it. How many times do I have to? No. And then they want to try to do it and they're going to do it wrong. So the media.
The last pitch I got from the.
So the media really has to come along with this. And I'm having so much trouble getting the interest. And
never mind.
There's nothing we can do. I feel like our community, put it this way, this is the first interview I've done. And this has been out a month or more.
Okay. All right.
And, our community high fives me and says, fantastic, Susan, great job. Move on.
Right.
To me, this sting is amazing. And there's still stuff I didn't get to tell everybody, but there's freaking amazing stuff going on there. People worked hard to do this. This was an insane amount of time and resources and stuff that happened to our team, to these people, to Bailey Harris and her parents and the New Zealand team. We can't get media interest. We can't get anything. Everybody says, oh, that really sucks. What,
Right.
And they're silent.
And there's nothing there.
NBC, ABC, everybody should be calling. No, we're too busy talking about UFOs or whatever. I mean, it's just nonsense.
Stupid shit.
I'm losing faith in our community to back. And I'm not talking about you, because of course, Kenny, of you, fantastic. And there are a lot of really great skeptics who've got my back. But
Right.
It's silence. I'm getting silence, and it's discouraging. So that's why I kind of put the book to the side a little bit, because people do tell me, oh, you've changed my life. You've opened my eyes. And those people keep me moving and keep me doing these things. I hear from people all the time who say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was such an idiot. I had a woman wrote to me and said that she had booked a reading with Thomas John and then found my article, and she realized she was about to be absolutely raked over the coals because her son's death was all over the media and it was going to be brought up and everything. And she says, I don't have the stomach to go through that. And she says, thank you. Please keep doing it. And it's like, yeah, but Kenny, where are all the interviews? Where are all the interest? Why is it's a long article? Yes, I know, but
it's worth the read. It's worth it. It's worth it. Read it and understand it. And Learn from it.
And Bailey Harris is happy to do an interview, and the New Zealand Skeptics, the people who are involved there, are happy to do interviews, and nobody's reached out to them to say, please tell us about your experiences. What was that like?
Right. Nothing.
They're busy talking about what's going on Twitter, people hating on each other on Twitter. So I don't know what they're talking about, but it sure as hell ain't this, because they think either the parents are fools and stupid. That's what I hear a lot. They should know better.
You're ranting.
Yeah, Marxism ranting. I'll get off my soapbox. But it's true. So the skeptic community is split. They're either these people who are who lost their money, deserve to lose their money. And then the other half is like, I have a lot of sympathy for this. This is great. But I have no power to get the message out any further than just good job, Susan.
Right. Good
job, team. And that's great. I love it. But
well, hopefully this helps a little bit.
They go what?
They go in the direction where they say, just go ahead and send me a PDF of your book.
Oh, yeah, send me a PDF of your book or whatever you want. That helps. No. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean to take it to the down, you guys, but it is pretty depressing.
I understand.
I think this is wonderful, and it should be screamed out of the rooftops, but
okay.
Only Kenny.
I try. At least this is a start. It's a start.
I was on Skeptic Zone.
Yes. You're on Skeptic Zone. And where else? I mean, we're winding down.
I gave him the interview. I gave him the first interview. Said I want Skeptic Zone to have the first interview. So we did a 5-minute segment on Operation Onion Ring, and I didn't tell the results. I said you got to read it.
Okay.
And I didn't hear any follow up from anybody.
All right.
Let me get my box of Kleenex out. Here, Mark will produce the box of Kleenex from off camera.
All right. So people can find you at susangerbic.org, right?
That is my website. I'm mostly on Facebook. I love Facebook. You can reach out to me, private message me. I communicate by private messaging me all the time. You can't bother me. Every sound on my computer and my phone is turned off. I don't even I have a ringtone, but it's so rare that it rings. So people can contact me at any hours. I'm happy to communicate with them. I see messages pulling out on my phone off the corner of my eye, but I can't see it because I took my glasses off, so I would not be able to read them. So awesome. To be distracted, so you have my full attention. But I am not doing any more stings right now. So if you're wanting to volunteer for stings,
unless we do lima bean.
I've got others planned, but I'm planning on not doing anything right now because I've stung these people enough. My God, what I want right now is 60 minutes or something like that to do a segment on us. And when that happens, I got some stuff stored that we could do. But until that happens, I'm not planning on doing any more stings. I've done this for years now, and I want to write a book, and I'm working on a Jerry Andrus archival project, and that's what I'm doing right now, and enjoying my garden and my cats.
I'll remember that when I do a psychic reading for you.
And there's somebody's going to give me a psychic reading in a couple weeks, Facebook Live. So follow me on Facebook.
I can't wait.
I don't know what day that is, but it's going to come up, and it should be fun. And I'll record it and I'll put it on YouTube or wherever.
Okay.
Some guy who wants to show me a real psychic reading because I haven't had a real one yet.
Oh, a real one. Okay. All right.
Bad ones, and so he's going to give me a real one because he's a real psychic.
Okay.
Okay, of course I will. Sure. I'd happy to have a real reading.
All right.
They want her Facebook page again.
Oh, the Facebook page, susangerbic.org.
Oh, no, Facebook, just Susan Gerbic.
Oh, Facebook, Susan Gerbic, yeah.
Gerbic. Susan.
There you go.
Oh, I have a cousin that I've never met. Her name is Susan Gerbic. So be careful you don't message her. People keep messaging her. I can't imagine what her life is like. No, she doesn't have a K. My picture right now is a baby photo of me, just a little round picture of me as a baby, like at 2 years old. That's what's on my Facebook page right now. So please pick her up. This poor thing. No one had never talked to her before. She's in Tennessee. I'm in California.
All right. So with that said, I'm going to get into my announcements. You want to hang out for that, or you want to go backstage? It's up to you. You can
Put
hang
me
it.
backstage so I can read the comments.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll put you backstage. All right. Here we go. And she's muted. So, and let me go to my thing. All right, so let me put up Bob's announcements. There we go. So right now we have July 18th. Oh, wait, this is old. I didn't update it. Yeah, because that's already passed. Anyway, so the big events that I have coming up is August 20th to 22nd. I'll be in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania for the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. One of the big things, big draws, I think, is that I'll be in a dunk tank. So you'll be able to dunk a skeptic. Come out. It's for a good cause. It supports the Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors. And also, I think it's Heroes for Hire, which sends costumed heroes out to hospitals, and they interact with mostly kids and make them happy. You know, like Batman is there. They have a full-size Batmobile, which really works, which is really cool because I got really up close to it. It was so cool. So cool. After that, I have September 25th is the Para Unity Conference in Woodbridge, New Jersey. And then I will be at Selma Mansion October 9th for the Psychic Fair. So for the first two, for the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash and the Para Unity Conference, I will be setting up my Skeptical Help booth, which is looks like this. And I'll be answering questions and just hanging out. The Psychic Fair, Donna will be set up. Actually, Donna will be set up at all three events.
Woohoo!
But she'll be set up. I'll be helping her, and I'll be walking around and annoying the shit out of psychics all over the place. So come on out. That's always fun. And besides that, if you're interested, if you want to, no pressure. But I did start a Patreon page. Wait, it's over there.
Patreon.
If you want to sign up, it's basically there's 3 levels. You can sign up, and some is just one is for just supporting. The other is you get kind of backstage information, little like behind the scenes kind of stuff. And then the third one, which is the higher one, you actually get to be a co-host and pick a topic for the show. So I think it should be fun. But if you're interested, great, check it out over there. If not, no big deal. Oh my God, it's 5:22 a.m.
I know. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out
with us. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Otherwise, though, what else? I know next week. Is it next week? 7 days from now? Yes. So that will be the next show. We'll have Aaron. Aaron Galloway will be my guest on the show, and he's going to come on and talk about biases and how they can affect ghost hunters and paranormal researchers. He did a great presentation at Phenomenology, the conference we were at a few weeks ago. It was great, well worth it, and he's a fun guy, so he'll be here. And then other than that, have a great weekend, enjoy it, never stop learning, and just have fun.
Yeah.
And that's it. Say goodbye, Donna.
Bye, guys.
And
Bye, Donna.
Bye, Nana. We will see you next week. And all right, peace out.